I used to say I don't rate supports, but after some recent shenanigans regarding Sirene, I feel like I have to give my thoughts on them. I'll only rate limited supports since the free ones are, well, free, so you don't really need to compare them since you have access to them at any time. I'll also not rate characters with high main DPS potential as supports like Anaxa and Everknights or even Black Swan. Starting off, we have the first ever limited support, which is Silverwolf. After her buff, she's really good in any team that wants a debuffer, whether it's Saber, Archer, or Acheron. Her amp is good enough to compete with Harmonies, and make her a generally good option for teams that aren't fixed. That's why I'm putting her in A tier. Next, we have Kofka, who also got buffed, which gave her a broken energy circulation. She can one-turn ult pretty consistently these days, which makes her especially broken against modes that value hit frequency. As long as we get the yearly DLT supports, she'll be fine. Also A tier. As for Topaz, she's not fine at all. In fact, she's getting outperformed by a 4-star character more often than not in the only team she's good in, which is Facel's, and that's why she's in D tier for me. As someone who owns a E2S1 Topaz, I actually hate how Hoyo has been treating her. She's still better in some niche situations, but that's about it. I'm praying for Nova Flare though, since Stonehearts have crazy story relevance. Last 1.x support is from May. Her amp is no longer that competitive with newer supports, even losing to Sirene's amp on non-airs. But weakness break efficiency can come in handy sometimes, and she can help sustain the team while letting you hit speed breakpoints. All in all, she's still decent for a cope option on any team if you don't have BIS options, so I'm putting her in B tier. Super Break might get revived, but I don't think she'll be revived. First supports of 2.x, which is Sparkle, is honestly pretty bad right now. The only team she works in is Archers, but even then people are trying to kick her out of his teams already with Perminzer Teray and Sunday. She's a rare case where the DPS is carrying her instead of the other way around. A support getting carried by DPS is not a good sign. Next version, she'll get more usage, but even then I'm 100% sure Hoyo will make some new shiny support that power creeps her. That's why she's also in B tier. Not that bad because she'll have more options next version despite not being that good. Next we have Jade. I know I skipped over someone, but we'll get back to that later. Jade is also a character hit by the curse of Stonehearts. She's actually getting outperformed by Doll Herda as a support, but that's not gonna last since Doll Herda damage will not be enough to kill ads in PF soon. That's why I'm gonna put her in C tier for now. She definitely has potential. If I'm rating her main DPS potential alongside her supportive capabilities, she would actually be higher than this cause she one-cost 0 cycled Banana Boss pretty recently, which proves her AoE damage isn't bad. But purely as a Herda support, it's actually not looking so good. Now let's get back to the Robin I skipped over. Robin is actually still pretty broken under certain conditions. If you want to front load AV, she's definitely ridiculously good. But she isn't really BIS for any 3.x characters, so she's no longer top tier. There's still strategies to make her work, like letting her die to get another ult in less AV, or the classic 3 ult rotation, but those aren't enough to make her top tier anymore. I'll still put her in high A tier though. She's one of the better aging supports. Next, we have quite literally the worst support in the game right now, Jiao. He has no identity left. He got power crept 3 times over it in Acheron's team, and outside of that he genuinely has worse amp than Pela, so there's no point running him anywhere. He also has no story relevance, so Nova Flare is rare. Easy D tier. Now, for Sunday, the game definitely did him really dirty with how they designed the Remembrance characters. Nobody could have expected for him to get less and less usage throughout 3.x. Nowadays, his only undisputed best-in-slot team is Xingyuan, while being a decent option in Aglia, Sirene, and some other air teams. He was actually best for many teams at one point, but after Sirene's release, he's kinda homeless. His kit looks good on paper, but you need to deal with RNG to get his ult back consistently without Sig, and his amp gets screwed if you don't have summons, which is kinda annoying and might be the reason he's no longer BIS in the teams that he was BIS in before Sirene's release. Since even Bronya is somewhat competing with him, I can't put him higher than B tier. Next is Fugue. Not only is she tied to Super Break, she doesn't even solve Super Break's core issues, leaving that archetype unviable. Super Break is also heavily reliant on DDD, which Fugue only has access to at E2. But because she has actually beaten Jiaoqiu even in Acheron teams before and has zero AV potential at high cost outside of Super Break, I'll give her a pass and rate her C tier. We're finally entering 3.x territory. First character is Tribi. Her amp at E0 is not that good, but she makes up for it with a strong E1, hit frequency, and damage. She also works in pretty much every team, so that's another bonus. As her damage starts being less and less meaningful, I can see her placement being swapped with Robin, but for now she's S tier. Next character, people will think she's a sustain, but she's actually a support and sub DPS. I'm obviously talking about Hyacine, who is the best HP support in the game that also offers good damage. Because of the current meta, she's actually ridiculous right now as a support for Mana Remembrance. She can also wheelchair most units alongside Tribi outside of Mana Remembrance team. In Mana Remembrance, one of her idolants give 30% team-wide speed, which translates to literally 60% res pen for Sirene, which is legitimately the biggest buff any support idolin can give her. Also another S tier units as long as her damage holds up. The next thing I'm saying might be really controversial, but I'm also putting Cypher in S tier. Why? Because of her unique mechanic of redistributing damage and bypassing any and all enemy mechanics. With the trend of Hoyoverse adding cringe bosses, her value will go up. The cringier, the better. Whether it's Pollux or Judge of Oblivion, she counters all of them. Let's say in the future, Hoyoverse decides to add a boss that mitigates 100% of all damage taken at the start of Phase 2, all the way until its next turn to kill all 0 cycles. You'll have two options. Either one-shot the boss before it moves, which is unrealistic, or do some small damage before its turn and letting Cypher bypass the whole mechanic. I think the value Cypher offers is too unique and underrated, so she's definitely top tier for me. The next support is probably the only mid support of this version, Cerra. She's B tier for me because, just like Sparkle, she's being carried by her DPS instead of carrying the DPS. Being niche and only working in 2 teams is one thing, but I heard even in Finan teams, going E0 S4 is better for no limited idolin situations. There was a CN tournament where it cost distribution of E0 S4 Finan doing better than a team with Cerra of equal cost, both having no idolins. This support is honestly a meme. I'm being generous giving her a B tier. Her conditions to pop off is just too minimal and she comes with a handful of bugs. Next up, we got Sirene, the reason I made this video. 100% best support in the game right now, power creeps Tribi in all air teams. Even in non-air teams, she has better amp than Rame, and can front load your DPS by giving the whole team full ult. So she's goated for low AV clears as long as you have RMC to charge her. Easy S tier. Last support is Dalia, which is sadly Super Break. But the buff she offers to them is like Kofka to DLT. She lets them front load their damage without even breaking the enemy, so as long as Hoyo doesn't kill Super Break in general, her value should last as long as Kofka. But Super Break is actually easy to counter, so low A tier it is. I'm putting her here for now because she's still in development. Could get stronger from here. In the end, HSR supports are equal, but some are more equal than others. That's all for today, and I'll see you in the next one.